Going on, y'all? Fabian Speaks. We are back with a video, man. Chosen one. Your name was written in the light before time began. That's the topic of today's video, y'all. So, I'm a big predicator on pretty much an establishment or an order to things before time, divine order, divine nature. Personally, I choose to want to naturally believe in that God created and designed things accordingly, and that there's nothing that we can really shake or move unless you are just completely living a destructive lifestyle, a chaotic lifestyle, and you're self-inflicting pain or, offsetting or off-coursing the path that God has laid out for you, man. And I wanted to make this video because I think a lot of people tend to think that they're going in the wrong direction. They tend to think that there's nothing there for them. And I think God created you specifically for a plan or a purpose, man. So like, comment, subscribe. Let me know y'all's thoughts if you ever tend to think this way, if you're ever going through some things according to the topics of this video, or you just want to discuss further in the comment section, man. Comment down below. But man, I believe that there are set chosen people in life, man. There are set chosen. I think that a lot of us are called for specific assignments, but I think that those who are chosen are set aside for God's bigger plan, his purpose. You can call them the prophets, whatever you want, specific people who are called for a catered or a detailed assignment. However you want to name it, man, I believe that you are created for that specific reason, and God will tend to bring that plan to fulfillment, man. So it's a beautiful thing when you really think about the fact that God is the ultimate creator, right? And you're his creation. And in some space, sometime, in some capacity, he thought to create you and design you and have a strategic plan and layout for your life. The trials, the tribulations that you would face, where you were born, what family you were born into, the friends you grew up around, kind of like your friend circle, activities, hobbies you tend to go pretty much associate with, man. So with that being said, it's like there's a very design nature and a structure to it. And I tend to always show appreciation. I think that once I changed my perception on how I view things and occurrences and things that happened in my life, I started to understand that God has a design. He has a plan for my life. And not even just understand, I just started to just wholeheartedly believe it. I didn't want to believe in the fact that, I was a failure. I didn't want to believe in the fact that my life wasn't going anywhere. I didn't want to believe in the fact that trials, tribulations, seasons of frustration I faced, being lost in the wilderness or caught in the wilderness. Because I think everybody has a wilderness season, but being caught in the wilderness, I didn't want to see that as, man, nothing's happening for me. And I think that that's where a lot of chosen people or a lot of people who are set aside for or set apart for God's specific mission or purpose, they go through certain seasons of isolation, the wilderness season, right, to where God is pretty much building them up and, deepening their faith. But in that season, you tend to face a lot of heartache, pain, suffering, and you can't really see through. You can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. And then a lot of people at that point in time think that, there was nothing meant for them. There was no plan. They question and wonder what's going on. And that can be a very detrimental time, right? Because it's either you use that time to focus on learning more, getting deeper in your word, praying more, getting closer to God, or you spend that time just frustrated, rebelling, maybe soaking in your sorrows, maybe going down an addiction path. So people need to really delineate that, naturally, some of the toughest, strongest people, some of the people who accomplished X, Y, and Z went through seasons of where they were really tested, so to speak, to where they were broken, So I don't think a lot of people understand that. But me personally, I always had a victim mindset growing up. I always complained about things. Oh, wonder why does this happen to me? Why me? Why me? But then, God just showed me, it clicked for me okay, you have to change the perception. And then obviously I was tying it back to a lot of other stories of people who did things in the world, right? And that basically when they did things, they always went through a season to where they were built up, and that season of building allowed them to be able to sustain the blessing or actually fully walk in the calling that God had for them. So that's why I wanted to make this video, that your name was written in the light, that a lot of things that are going to happen for you, a lot of things that are on your heart, a lot of things you dream about, a lot of the goals, things of that sort were predestined, man. There's a destiny. And I honestly don't believe that, God will take you so far just to leave you. God's not going to leave you idle, man. He's always going to be there for you. Even in the seasons to where you think he's quiet, you don't hear nothing, you think he's not responding to you, that's all a lie, man. That's all a lie. And they tend to say that when God goes silent, or when you're perceiving that he's going silent, that's when he's the closest. That's when he's up to something. That's when he's doing his thing. Basically, he's doing his thing. So, don't feel dismayed. Don't feel like, hey, I don't know what's going on right now. Hey, because when you take that perception of, man, like, I'm already designed accordingly. I'm already instilled with the gifts and the talents, even though I may need to go through a season of fortifying myself. God created me accordingly. And if you really look at the landscape, man, reflect on your life, reflect on relationships, reflect on friendships, reflect on your family dynamic, reflect on conversations you had, experiences, and how these things molded you into who you are. It's a beautiful thing, because I honestly think that there's always going to be a full circle moment. I think there's a full circle moment to where you're like, okay, that's why that happened. And I've been able to see some pieces to the puzzle, so to speak, to where, like, maybe I was working at a job and there were certain skills that even though the job was frustrating and I hated being there were certain skills that I acquired from that time being there that I was able to implement in my next season. So it's like, it's a building. So, if people took more time to perceive it this way, if people took more time to kind of be patient, don't get too antsy, don't get frustrated, and kind of just breathe and let God work his thing out, you'll see that everything is working in motion. Everything is working in tandem. It's a flow for the bigger picture, or the bigger plan. And I think it's a blessing that God doesn't always reveal too much too early for us. He doesn't tell us everything. Because think about that. If you knew everything, I think that would mess up the steps that you took or you are taking in order to get to the end goal. If you knew everything that was going to happen, you'd probably get lazy, lackadaisical, careless. But, it's kind of like you're being kept on your toes. Maybe you're going through ups and downs, but you're continuously striving. Maybe you got knocked down to get back up again. Maybe, like I said, you had to learn a certain skill set in a certain season, and then he'll move you on to the next season. So always be 10 toes, always be on your toes, always have a general understanding of what's going on, and I think that you should always be self-aware. Be self-aware, because a lot of people walk through this life very blindly, no understanding of what's going on, and they think that just life is lifing. And once you take a specific mindset, once you think that there's a rhyme behind the reason, a reason behind the rhyme, however you want to say it, then you'll understand that things don't just happen. And then you'll think that then I guess the actions, your mindset will be more purposeful. So comment down below, man. Let me know y'all's thoughts on this. If you exist, man, you are called. If you exist, you are created for a reason. But I do believe that everything is predestined, everything's set. And I think that what drives that is the faith and your belief in that. If you don't believe that, then your life is going to be all over the place. It's not going to be aligned. But if you believe that God is in complete control, he's got your back, he's faithful, even when you're not, and you understand that he has a bigger picture and he knew you before you existed. He knew every trial. He knew every problem. He knew every addiction. He knew every heartbreak, everything that was going to happen in your life. When you look at things like that, then you will be aligned. Then you will completely relinquish and have full trust and faith in the Lord, man. So peace, love, prosperity. God bless. We'll see you on the next video.